Oh, here we go. Hi. How's everybody doing today? Good morning. Matt, you want to start us off?
Sure. Morning, Matt Murphy, the owner of C Incorporated. We're here today to do our first podcast. This is definitely different, that's for sure. We've got with us, obviously, Kevin over on the right.
I handle a lot of the SDS information, getting you up to date on that, and the office stuff.
Kevin also helps us out with our safety gram that we put out quite a bit. And then in the center here, we have Caroline, who's helping us out, kind of coaching us, kicking us, whatever we're needed during this first podcast.
Yeah, I'm literally here just to make sure that they don't break any of the microphones or anything like that, and to keep everything on track.
Right.
So
safety first. Right?
Yeah. So my name is Caroline Hutchison. I'll introduce myself. I do tons of stuff in social media and video marketing. Trying to just coordinate some new ways to connect with our audience online, and we would love to have you join us. We're going to start doing this about once a month probably.
Yep.
So people can come here, ask questions about the company, ask questions about safety stuff, and Kevin and Matt are basically the experts and I'm just the filler. I am here to keep things.
She's the one who's trying to bring us into the current times so we can get out to you and get some information out to you. So
yeah. Well, I think I'm excited about the podcast, the live streaming show. I mean, it's going to be a podcast, but we're also going to be doing live video. So we'll be here on Facebook and we'll also be live on YouTube. The videos will be published to our YouTube channel and also to our website. So you can see at our website is cinkonline.com. So you can check out the videos there or check out our YouTube channel. And also subscribe to our Facebook because we'll be posting about all of these live events on our event page. So
and give us some ideas, right?
Yeah.
So this is a wide open book. So
I'm watching here. So
if
you have questions, put them in the comments and I'll be like, oh, look, Johnny wants to know something. And Matt will answer it because I have no idea about safety. So I'm this Facebook monitor girl.
There you go.
All right. Well, I'll be quiet and let Matt actually talk about something business related. So
business related. All right. I guess we'll start out with, kind of how does a consultant work with your business? We have a lot of people who don't know if they're big enough to get a safety consultant or if they're even, in the right market to try to find a safety consultant or how much we cost, et cetera. First off, let me start with, it doesn't cost anything to ask. So give us a call, we'll come out, we'll meet with you. We'll chat with you about what your needs are and what we can do for you and kind of give you some ideas to go off of. So that would be kind of my first spot, right? And how big of a company do you need to be? Really anybody who has a company. You have employees, you have some exposure with OSHA, just give us a call and, we can talk through that sort of stuff. Also, anybody who needs training, anybody who needs site inspections, anybody who just kind of wants to bring their game up to the next level. That's really what we're there for. We try to be full service. So with some clients, we just do training. With some clients, we just do site inspections. With some, we're involved in everything, including creating their safety program, bringing in and interviewing safety people, really helping them out.
So when you say clients, is that specific to the construction industry or do you do stuff outside of just like GCs and actual construction clients?
Sure. We have all sorts of clients. A majority of our stuff is construction. So whether it's residential or commercial, we really have the full gamut there. But we have some manufacturing. We have some sanitation clients. We have some people that we've worked with, on dairy farms. I mean, really, you name it. If you have employees, you want to keep them safe so they're doing the job.
Especially if they're using equipment or, handling anything that could be dangerous that requires special training or lifts, right? Forklifts. What are other things
fall
that
protection,
fall protection? So
again, when we went out and did, a couple of the dairies and stuff like that, there's a lot of fall hazards they don't even think about. So, it's always the fun.
Do you know anything about falling?
No, not at all. Not
on
at
a farm?
All. No,
nothing like that.
Not at all.
I didn't think so.
Yeah. So
there's a lot more than just construction, I guess, is what I was trying to figure out. And like, how would people, if they don't have heavy equipment, maybe they just need CPR training.
Yeah, right? First aid CPR for sure. Everybody needs that, in my opinion.
Every single person should know.
Every single person should know basic first aid CPR.
Do you guys do any of that kind of stuff virtually, or do they have to come here, or how does a program like that work?
We usually go to them. So, we try to make it as easy as possible. It's already hard to pull their people out of the field. So it's best that we, go ahead and go right to their location. We can set up locations. We've got certain classrooms where we either work with clients or different associations that we deal with. And we can go set up a classroom in Virginia, Maryland, pretty much we can find a place pretty much anywhere close to you and set up a classroom and do these training classes. And bring
So
it
if
to
they
you.
do like CPR training, do they get a certification?
Yep, National
Yeah.
Safety Council certification.
Oh.
We deal with National Safety Council. Our instructors are all authorized through National Safety Council. So yeah, that's the certification.
Stuff like that affect, like if I own a business, right? I have 40 employees and we all get CPR training. Is there any kind of benefits being a business owner? Obviously, other than knowing that, I can save my coworker if
Well,
they're,
being the business owner, obviously, you're going to have the most stress and everything else. So if you're the one having a heart attack,
You want to make
really
sure they all
good-
got
yeah,
your back.
You want somebody who's trained to do it. That's for sure.
That's a good idea.
There are certain things that, certain insurance programs and stuff like that. If you have a safety consultant, if you have, certain training, if you have drug and alcohol testing, there's some small benefits or even rebates or discounts that can apply. But safer companies have always proven to be better quality companies. They get their production done correctly. It's just it really becomes
And just rapport,
it's
among
part of the
employees.
fabric, right? So,
Okay. Good to know. Yeah, I mean, I guess I had always had this vision, even knowing your company for a while, that you guys are mostly construction. And so it's
Right.
kind of, yeah, it's good to know.
I grew up in construction, so my
That's the
dad
target.
drugged me out when I was a little kid, and the biggest things I always said, I'd never do a job where I had to do reports all the time, and I'd never do a job where I had to talk in front of people and fail. So I'm
And
here.
here we are.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I do. So yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that. That was pretty informative.
good.
Yeah.
Good.
So your target audience can be almost anyone, basically.
Any employer, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mostly private employers is what we deal with. We have companies that have 4 or 5 people. We have companies that have 400 or 500 people. We have some that are larger than that. We have some of our clients. We have a superintendent or a foreman or somebody like that who's left one company and went to another company, and maybe they have safety people, maybe they don't. But a lot of times they just feel better bringing us along. We're kind of like a safety blanket because they're what they know. So we can do it from site to site type contracts and come out and help them just on that site.
Plus, you're non-biased.
Right,
So
right. We're an extra set of eyes.
Yeah.
When you're right here all the time,
Yeah.
it's hard to see some of this stuff, and you can kind of walk past it. The term nose blind is the same thing with safety, right? So you can walk out and go, well, what do you see? And we start pointing it out. It's wow. Yeah. It's
I can
eye-opening.
imagine. Yeah.
And we try to educate when we're walking too. We don't just tell you, put on your eye protection, put on your hard hat or whatever. We really try to bring it home to you. So a couple tricks I've used before is, hey, do you have a kid or do you have, what drives you? And they'll tell you, hey, no, I don't have family, but I have this boat and I like going out boating, or I like going hunting, or I like doing this. You got a picture on your phone. They bring it up. Isn't that easy to be able to see that? Isn't that nice? Why don't you put on your eye protection? So bring it back to the why, and they go,
Right,
nice
yeah.
safety guy.
Because you don't
Appreciate
think you need goggles or safety protection until you're already hurt. And then you're like, man, I should have had on safety protection.
that. 100%. And
Yeah.
that's how if you would back this up 15 years ago or 20 years ago, that's how they got safety in the first place. It was, we probably should have had this, but somebody got hurt there in the hospital, or unfortunately there was a fatality, and it's, I wish I would have.
Right.
We're getting beyond that now. The evolution of safety is kind of coming around. More people are buying into it. More companies, especially these younger owners and people who are coming up through school are starting to learn safety in school for the project management courses and stuff like that. So it's kind of coming up and about and just becoming part of, again, their fabric and the way they do things. So
Yeah. It's a standard now versus like an optional thing.
sure. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Cool.
yeah.
Well, we have 3 people watching. We don't have any comments yet, but if anybody's out there with questions, we would love to hear from you, or even just say hi in the comments so we know that Facebook is working. That would be fun too.
Yeah. We'll just talk to each other.
Yeah,
until we hear
we're just
something
going to
from you
keep
guys.
talking
Yeah.
about whatever comes up. And I mean, the idea is for us to create an environment where people can learn more about what we offer, but also maybe we can learn about what we need to be, sharing. So,
Sure.
I mean, I don't think that I understood a lot about your business, and just in the last few weeks talking about this kind of stuff, I've learned a lot. So,
Good.
yeah,
Good.
it can be an educational opportunity for everyone.
There you go.
Kevin's going to learn something too.
Yeah.
For sure. And Kevin does our safety, Graham, and that's another thing. Like if you're not dealing with us on a regular basis, or you're just finding this podcast or whatever, you can call us and get on our mailing list and get our safety grams. We try to filter, what's coming out from OSHA. We're going to talk about some hot topics here coming up, but we try to get that stuff out in front of everybody, and that's one way we do it. We try to get that out monthly basis, sometimes more if a lot of stuff's coming out. And we'll talk about, the topics. Like we have an announcement that just came out in the Mid-Atlantic area. We've got a lot of these big warehouses going up. Everybody buys from Amazon, everybody buys from Walmart. They don't want to go to the store anymore. It comes to them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's been a huge increase in accidents. Like if you look at the private sector, 2.7 injuries per 100 employees is the standard. These warehouses and these distribution centers and stuff are 4.8. So OSHA put a 5-year targeted enforcement deal in the Mid-Atlantic area. So we're going to see that. So we're going to talk a lot about that sort of stuff as it comes up.
I just saw that like humongous Amazon distribution center in Hagerstown. Like I didn't know that existed because I moved out of the area, and then I just drove through there the other day, and I was like, "What the heck? This is crazy."
Yeah,
I mean, that's like a whole industrial park. It used to just be like a homeless
huge.
camp, and now it's like
it's
a huge camp of businesses and distribution docks. I mean, and there's like Herbalife is over there, and what else? I mean,
there's a ton of distribution down there. I mean,
it's crazy.
Home
None of that
Depot
was even there
distribution,
like
Lowe's
5 years
distribution.
ago.
Oh, I know. We're growing up. I mean, you look at the 81 corridor, and it's tons of distribution centers going everywhere.
And it's not just this area. You're saying it's like the whole Mid-Atlantic region. It's just like
Correct.
industrializing.
Yeah, I mean, we're central to the East Coast, so this whole area is pretty central. So, this is where they lay out those huge buildings now.
For shipping too.
Yep, 70,
You got all of
81.
your trains running through here too.
Correct. So
Crazy.
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big opportunity though. I mean,
Yep.
for you, it's a big opportunity. For the country, it's an opportunity for safety growth.
For
sounds
sure.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And safety
Mhm.
has been growing. It's been evolving. That's some kind of cool stuff too. We'll be going out next month to San Diego. They've got the National Safety Conference. And that's usually where we'll see a lot of the new technologies. That's where we brought back like the virtual reality headsets that we use for some of the training. That's kind of cool. If you haven't done that would be a good thing to do for some of your employees. If you're into you get motion sickness or something like that, we don't really suggest you putting the goggles on, but you can kind of work through some of that. But we're going to go out there in September. So 3rd week of September, 2 of us are going to travel out there, and we're literally going to walk the floor, which has hundreds of vendors. So we'll see the new things in fall protection. We'll see the new items for, that's kind of how we also changed our inspection process. So, we used to bring our inspections back, be done 1 o'clock ish, go home, write up all of our reports by hand. And we found a good software company that we've been with for the last few years that when we walk off the site, we hit a button and it goes to everybody. So they have it as we walk off.
So you're like walking and doing the report or just going through. That's great. And then you don't miss anything too. Like it gives you a checklist to make sure you're going through all of it.
Yeah. And in construction, I mean, you walk a construction site and 3 hours later, there might be a new floor. There might be, walls up where they weren't before. So we're just like a snapshot in time when we walk and see what we see. So it's very important that they get that information quickly so that site superintendent or whoever it might be goes out and gets that stuff fixed.
Yeah. So you send it to them and then they can they have to fix whatever.
Yeah, they should fix it. There's a resource on it. If they click on it, they can go and actually read the OSHA standard. So if they think, I don't know about, what they really wrote us up for, they can go back and look at it for themselves.
Okay. So you have like a reference guide right in the
Correct.
report for them to see what your actual violation is referencing or whatever.
Correct. And if they use the
Pretty
tool,
awesome.
if they use the tool, they can actually go to their subs and have them sign off when they take care of it so that when OSHA comes out, if this pops up again, there's something called multi-employer worksite citation. That's one thing that they can go back and say, hey, listen, we're enforcing your standards. Here's where, even our third-party safety consultant already addressed this. So it really helps.
It's very interesting. So do the SDS sheets, I know it's totally probably random, but is it similar? Like when you're doing the SDS sheets, is that something that you can pull up and edit for them and on an app, or is it something they have to do on their end? Like what is that process?
It's actually a really cool, and again, we walked the floor and we found that too. It's an online process and Kevin can talk about it, but I mean, he can talk about how it goes. Like you got to get the chemical list and that sort of stuff to Kevin. And then why don't you tell him a little bit about
Yeah, so it's very easy. Get your chemical inventory list, which we can send you a template. You, one of your guys, one of your workers, walk the site. You could even take pictures of all the chemicals you have, but write down all the chemicals, send it to me. Usually within a week, you'll have a whole online SDS binder made. You can from there you can print out stickers, GHS stickers. You can print out QR codes. Anybody can snap that QR code, pull up your online binder. Yeah, any of your workers, any of your subs, anybody can instantly view any of your SDS. That comes with online training, so we're gonna show you how to access it, how to edit it, how to quickly add it. Within a minute, you could add a chemical. Yeah, real
So is
simple.
it an actual binder that they have to physically have on site, or is it just digital?
We always recommend having at least one hard copy binder, but it's an online digital binder. Anybody can use their smartphone, their tablet, etc., computer, and pull up anytime.
And one thing people usually don't realize, if you use a chemical on a job site, let's say, the paint we use or the form release or any chemical that we use out there, the big thing is you have to keep track of that chemical for 30 years after use. So imagine, for some of these people, how many volumes of this stuff they would keep. Well, they can keep that online through this system.
Right.
And they can send, that whole binder, virtual binder, over to the owner so they have it for their files. Because is this company going to be around 30 years from now? Right. Is your painter going to be around 30 years?
So that's what I was going to say. So what is the purpose of that? So if something comes up like 25 years from now and they find that something you were using, 25 years ago actually causes blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
And then you go through that SDS sheet and see.
Yeah. The first line purpose is really to educate the employees. Like if I'm going to use a chemical, I'm supposed to train my employee to what the hazards are with that chemical. Okay. Can I throw it away? Is it detriment to the environment? Is it, is it like legal to use?
Waste, yeah. Flammable, blah, blah, blah.
What type of PPE should I have? Is it okay to take and wash my clothes with my family's clothes? It'll tell you in there separate laundry. And that means you don't want the chemical that went with you that day to get in your kids' clothes or, your significant other's clothes or whatever. So that's the first important part. But yeah, if they find out, hey, that causes cancer now,
right,
and
yeah.
you're using it, did you train your people on it? Did you properly protect them? And
where did you store it and where did you put it?
Correct.
Where you disposed of it?
Yeah.
Okay. So SDS, what does it stand for?
Safety data sheets.
Data sheet. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it has right in the name. We're pretty simple safety data sheets.
Right.
It's all the safety data right there. And I've been out on job sites before where OSHA's walking and they'll find something with a half torn can a lot of times, like the label on the can. Hey, can you find this? And people are flipping through these, 6-inch binders trying to find this stuff. The online thing, punch in the number, the name.
Yeah, you can find it so many different ways.
Really?
It makes it so easy.
Yeah, and if they ran by Home Depot and they picked it up and they didn't put it in their binder yet, and OSHA just happened to walk that day, you put it in, it kind of cues you, hey, do you want to add this to your list? You go, yes, please. And
that is part of your binder.
Yeah. Look at that.
And there's
but I mean, what kind of fines are you looking at if you don't have stuff like that on your sheet, on your SDS sheet?
Well, the OSHA fines go up every year. It's over $14,000 for a serious violation, but it's not just for the violation of not having the sheet. Then you obviously didn't train the employee on the sheet. Do you have the first aid measures? There's 3 violations right there. So it can quickly stack up $30,000, $40,000, $50,000.
Wow.
HazCom, which is the kind of the bubble that it lives in, that's been in the OSHA top 10 since I've been a safety person 20 some years. So, I mean,
wow, it's
one of those things that people get nailed for. So for a couple bucks a month, really, they're kind of covered as long as they do the other parts of the training.
Right. So you guys make sure that they're like staying on top of their stuff, or how do you support the client to make sure that that's being done? Just like reminding them?
We'll kind of do what OSHA does. We'll grab a couple chemicals. We're not going to go through every single site every time and look at every chemical they're using, but we'll grab a couple, especially something that looks either brand new or it looks like it's been in the back of the gang box for a while, and say, hey, find this, and can they? And a lot of times they're like, I don't know, you got me, so.
Well, if you're just tuning in, we're doing this new live streaming thing, basically opening up Q&A for people if you're here, say hi in the comments, ask us any questions if you have any.
Yep.
And we're just going to be going live once a month ish to talk about whatever hot topics come up in safety.
Right.
It's a crazy world out there. We're just trying to keep it safe.
Yeah, we need topics from you. I kind of feel like what was the dirtiest jobs or whatever, or Micro would always say, you got to keep us on by giving us different jobs.
Yeah.
Give us different topics to talk about.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, it would be interesting to know, what other kinds of businesses you've helped like save money, like industry specific businesses. Like we were just talking about CPR. Anybody can do CPR.
Sure.
Anyone can come in and benefit from working with you guys, even a small business. But, whether some of the other companies out there that have had an OSHA violation, or what's like the weirdest thing that you didn't even know was something that you needed to be aware of, and this would have been a lifesaver. Probably
Right.
save some people thousands and thousands of dollars,
Or somebody's life. Yeah.
or a life,
Yeah.
or a finger,
Yeah.
or
Finger, hand.
yeah, all the things you want to come home with at the end of the day.
What are one of the weirdest things? When I first started, it's been 20 some years ago, we had we'll just say a manufacturing plant locally. And we were walking the job site, and the gentleman who started the company, Bob Woodward, was walking, and we had some of the owners and management there. And this is a little gruesome, but I'll get rid of most of the details. But the guy
Just
comes
go
up
for
and he's
it.
like panicking. And he's like, "Man, Bob, I need you to come over to my area." He's like, "Well, I've got all your owners here. Like, give me 5 minutes and I'll be there." He goes, "No, we need you now."
Ooh.
So of course that's kind of one of those red flags. Hey, we need to go there. So we go over, and I'm following. And what was I, 19 at the time, 20? So I'm fresh in for a year or two. And we walk over, and there's a guy holding his hand like this, and everybody's kind of looking around. And we quickly figured out, hey, there's a table saw. He probably took at least part of his finger off.
Right.
And one of the owners just looked at him and went, "How'd you do that?" He goes like this, kicked on the table saw, and literally took his other thumb off in front of us. Yeah, that's what we all did too. But we saw where that one flew. So they got that one, packed him up, packed that on ice, and took
So you cut both of his thumbs off?
both of his thumbs off. Yeah, one got reattached, one did not. And we were before we could say anything, he just fired it up that fast, and it happened that fast. And it's just like, why would you do that? And, being two safety guys, Bob and myself, we're trying to keep our composure, but at the same time, we're looking at each other like, did that really just happen? And we went through the whole deal, and come to find out, we talked to doctors, and they're like, well, when you go into shock.
I was gonna say he was in shock, so he
Yeah.
probably didn't even think. He was just like, "Whoa."
Yeah, well, I'll show you, and we're like, we came back 2 weeks later for a follow-up, and we're like, of course he's not going to be here anymore. Yeah, no, he's still out on, getting his fingers taken care of and stuff. Okay, great. So you're going to train him for something else, right?
Mhm.
Like, this is probably not the thing. Well, we raised the table saw. Like, well, here comes another problem. Now things are going to fly back at them at a higher area, so it can take out their throat or something. That's not the way to do it. We got to come up with it. This was before Saw Stop and all that. And sure enough, I mean, it's come back 6 months later, and he has built himself a platform. He's right back up there doing the same job. They didn't do it. And it's one of the weirdest things. That's probably the weirdest thing in my career to watch that happen in front of you. Yeah, it was crazy. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's like a one-off deal right there.
For sure. Yep. For sure.
I don't
You
see that
never
happening
want to see
again.
that again.
No,
Yeah,
I don't think
never
you'd
want to.
want to.
And if anybody says, "Hey, how did it stop?" Like,
Yeah,
we'll figure
like,
that out. Don't
we'll
even
talk
ask.
about that later.
Yeah, we'll figure that
We'll
out
watch the
later.
footage on the camera.
For a while, I was just in the construction side, and I had an insurance company call, and they said they had a really good client down in South Carolina that they wanted me to go see. And I said, "Okay, construction," and it's kind of one of those, yeah, whatevers. And then I show up to the job site. Well, it's a waste management company. Never done anything with waste management, so it's really the same concept. How are they going to get hurt? What's the fix?
Right.
The big secret that's really no secret is ride with the employees, do what they do, ask them questions. And that's kind of how we come up with solutions.
Right.
And when we walked away, I mean, the owner was appreciative. They thought the insurance company went well above and beyond after a week of us, riding with their people and then giving them a synopsis. Here's all the hazards they see. How are we going to fix that?
Yeah.
So it just kind of gave them a roadmap. So some of that is just, I won't say common sense, but it's just really getting the communication from the field back to the employer without being a filter, so to speak, because they're scared to go to the boss and say, "Hey, this makes me nervous," or
Yeah,
whatever.
I'm scared of doing this. Or
Yeah.
yeah.
we can be that.
Or this
person.
happened, and
Yeah.
nobody wants to be the one to say this happened. So
Yeah,
no.
for sure.
But if it's happened to you, it's probably happened to 10 other people or more, and there's probably the potential is going to happen again, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
learn from your mistakes.
Correct.
And so you guys can pretty much go to any company and help them make like a safety playbook for their day-to-day operations, really.
Correct. Yeah,
Mhm.
we can help from safety programs. We help some companies. We're kind of their safety department. Maybe they're not big enough on their side to afford a full-time safety person.
Okay.
So they might bring us in and we'll help run their safety committee meetings. We'll review their accidents. We'll go out to their jobs and do the inspections. And then when they get big enough, we'll either help them train from within a safety person, or we can actually sit in on the interview process and stuff like that and help select a safety person for them. Because a lot of people go, I know I need a safety person, but who is that person and what is a safety person?
Right.
They think, one size fits all, and we all have our strengths and weaknesses. So that's kind of where we really come in, and we can help safety people that are already there where their weaknesses. If they're doing a lot of training, they don't have time to be in the field. We can
Sure.
help them with that. So
Yeah, kind of analysis of like the whole picture and
Yeah.
help them make a better plan. That's good.
and we see over 100 clients, on a monthly basis. So
Wow.
we see what people are doing right. We see
Mhm.
where their stumbling parts are, and when they hit the same wall, it's like, well, here's some great solutions that other
Right.
clients came up with.
Sure.
So they get some of that.
Yeah, this
too.
is what we've done for this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. And you guys have been doing this. How long has C Inc. been?
30 years this year. So yeah, Bob started this in 1992.
And you said you were 19. So
No, he started that. I
I'm
wasn't
just
even out
doing
of
some
high
math
school
in my
in
head.
92. I graduated in 94. So I hadn't even graduated high school when he started this. But by 98, we met through one of my job sites on an accident that didn't happen, but almost did.
Hmm.
And we struck up a conversation. We handshook a deal, and I had a 5-year buyout for him. And
here we are.
here we are. Yeah.
Just killing it.
Moving it from Fairfax, Virginia out here to Keedysville, Maryland, and doing a podcast, which,
Here we are.
yeah.
And speaking of which, we have 5 people now
Ooh.
online. Hi, everybody. This is so exciting.
Yes.
So I'm Caroline. This is Kevin. This is Matt. We're here to answer any questions you have.
Yeah.
We're just talking about safety. Matt just told us a really crazy story, which I thought was pretty fun. That was probably the highlight of the podcast so far. The 2-thumb story. So if you have any stories like that you'd like to share, we'd love to hear from you. Or if you have any questions, please hit us up in the comments.
For sure.
Yeah.
And a lot of those stories, like we just talked about, those are what we call war stories, right? So when we do
Mhm.
live training, that's the kind of stuff we talk about. And, they get the people who walk the field that go out and do the OSHA 10s and OSHA 30s and all of your classes that you're going
Mhm.
to take. They've seen a lot of stuff. We see a lot of fatalities. We see a
Sure.
lot of accidents. So
Yeah.
we get to use those war stories. And, it's a lot of fun to bring that to, this isn't just what OSHA says because it's paperwork. This is real life, how it affects
Like
you.
it's a real good idea to
Yeah.
not be blind.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
not always about the money.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
In fact, I think one thing that would be great is to bring in a couple of our clients. We call them, our owners that get it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them, if you listen and sit down with those type of people, you get a lot of the, we do what's right. I'm quoting one of them pretty much word for word, but if you do what's right, the money will come, the work will come.
Sure.
You just have to do it right.
I think this is exciting because I think this is an opportunity for us to tell people about what you're doing and also for people to become aware that this is something that they probably need. Like I know a few people that have done CPR training in their workplace, like for their employees and stuff. So I feel like that alone is something people can benefit from
It definitely
knowing
is.
about at
Yeah.
least. Yeah.
We had a client, and this was again in the Bob era, we'll call. And I was walking the site, and he had tears in his eyes, and he goes, "Just thank Bob for me." And I said, "About what?" He goes, "We were at the hospital visiting, and his wife actually started to choke on something, and he had first aid training with Bob,
Mm-hmm.
and he gave her the Heimlich, got it up and out. I mean, he's like at the hospital, and people are standing there looking at her, and she's like actually in distress, and it was really cool that."
The
that's one
Heimlich
of
saved.
the Heimlich saved her.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was really cool. That training.
When I was a kid, I'll tell a little story about safety, right? So when I was a little girl, I was in Girl Scouts, like for like all through school, and we always did CPR and safety training and stuff for Girl Scouts. We always had our CPR badge renewed every year they came in. You had to redo your CPR badge every year. And I was 12 years old, and my mom and I were driving we lived way, way, way up in northern Michigan. I mean, you were like 20-minute drive from one house to the next in some areas. So desolate. And it was winter. We're driving, we had gone grocery shopping, and we saw like lights up in the tree on the side of the road. There was snow, it was winter. And then this lady just came like running out of the woods into the road and stopped us. And her and her sister had been in a car accident.
Oh, wow.
And they hit the snowbank, and they hit it so hard that it ramped their car up into the trees.
Oh.
So we saw the headlights like way up in the trees. That's what we were like, what is that? As we were driving up, and then this lady like came running out, and she's like, my sister. And I was like, I was 12.
Right.
So I'm like, Mom, just go get an ambulance, and I'll go try and figure out what's going on. Because this is before cell phones. Just so that there was no cell phones at this point.
What?
So
There was a
she
time
had to
before
take
cell
a
phones?
car and drive to get help. So she started driving, and it was like during the basketball tournament, and everybody was out of town. So it was like nobody was there. She was gone forever. While she was gone, this lady took me into the woods, and we found her sister, who had been ejected from the car,
Oh, wow.
laying in the snow, bleeding. And she kept coughing up blood. And then she like stopped breathing, just like stopped coughing.
Wow.
And I was 12. So I was like, so I like clearing blood out of her mouth with my hand. And I gave her CPR probably like 20 times. And I don't even know if it really, she lived. So
Wow. That's
yeah.
impressive.
And I got an award for like being a Good Samaritan and whatever from
Save
the
a Life
police.
badge.
Yeah. I got the Save a Life badge and the police and everything. But that was
Nice.
just because I took CPR and Girl Scouts,
For sure.
kicked in. When that adrenaline rush came, I was like, I don't know what to do, but I know what to do. It just
fall back
happened.
on what
yeah.
you got going on. That's
So,
why they start in elementary school with, what do you do if you catch on fire? Stop, drop, and
Stop,
roll.
drop, and roll.
Yeah.
I still remember it. But yeah, safety is all an everyday thing. It doesn't have to be at the workplace,
Oh, really?
like you're saying.
You can give up safety when you go like mow the
Yeah,
yard. and
I
weed
forget
whack
about
and
it.
Stuff like that.
When
Right?
you have kids and
Yeah.
whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just choke. I don't know what to do. Anyways, sorry.
And
Well,
first aid
off topic.
CPR is one of a ton of topics we teach. So,
Mhm.
fall protection, OSHA 10-hour, OSHA 30-hour, trenching excavation, which is one of those hot topics that we wanted to talk about. OSHA's seen a huge uptick in fatalities with trenching excavation. It's just dirt, right? You just dig
Mhm.
down 4 or 5 feet. You're going to hook up a pipe. It's not a big deal until it falls in on you.
Mhm.
And then, what we tell everybody is 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot of dirt falling 6 feet hits you with the same impact as a vehicle at about 35 miles an hour. So survivability is not great,
Wow.
to say the least,
Even in that small of a.
in that small of a area. That's a cubic yard of dirt. So in 2021, we had 15 total fatalities. This year, mid of August, and we already have 22 fatalities. So OSHA put out this huge deal where they want about 1,000 inspections on trenches and excavation, which is big. And in their news release, it's the first time I've ever heard them use criminal liability
Oh,
as part of the enforcement. So if you're
negligence.
So
Mhm.
if you've got people in there and you're just not sloping it back correctly, if you haven't trained them on trenching excavation, or if you just assume they know how to work safely in trenches and excavations, ask them how to soil test. Ask them how many types of soil there are. There's a few, just questions. If they don't know, get training. Like,
Mhm.
don't assume. That's a big dirty word in safety.
It's crazy how many people say, I've been doing this for 30 years,
Oh, yeah.
and it doesn't mean you've been doing it safely.
Correct. Yeah, it's luck, and luck
It's
runs
nuts.
out, right? So, it only takes once. The other one besides that drives me nuts is, well, it hasn't killed me yet. What are you waiting for? It
Yeah.
only takes once.
Yeah.
Like, you
So I have a
can't pull that back.
confession. I don't wear a harness when I go hunting.
That's something you should probably
I should do
change.
that, right? I
Yeah.
have one in my closet. It's
Yeah.
in the box.
Yeah, that's a great place for it.
Yeah.
Keeps that hanging.
But I
very
mean, that
safe.
would be something that we could team up on.
Sure.
We could do a safety training class for hunters.
I've
That'd be
fallen
pretty
out of
fun.
a tree before.
You have?
Yeah.
See,
had
I
a harness.
haven't. That's what I'm saying is like I haven't. So I'm like, oh, I don't need a harness. I've never fallen out of a tree.
I probably weighed, I don't know, a lot closer to 300 pounds than not at the time. And I went hauling in, climbed up the tree. All of a sudden, things kind of got a little fuzzy, and I woke up and I got the bow hanging off my left arm, and I'm just kind of hanging against the tree.
What?
Yeah, because I had my harness on.
Uh-huh.
I just had started wearing fall protection because I just started learning the safety stuff. So, but yeah, and I've got, a doe 30 yards away from me. She's looking at me like, hey, redneck pinata, But
Like,
that was
what
embarrassing.
happened to you?
I had one
Well,
of those
so what
neoprene
happened?
masks on. I bought a
Did
brand
you just
new
fall
neoprene.
asleep? What happened?
No, I bought one of those brand new neoprene masks, pulled it out of the wrapper, put it on, chucking through the woods, obviously well overweight at the time. Trying to suck in oxygen, the fumes coming off that mask. I didn't let it sit out overnight like you were supposed to, because this is a
What?
long time ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and that
So you like poisoned yourself?
knocked me out. Yeah, restricted my airflow and all that fun stuff. And yep, I was up against the tree. Thankfully, I had a
crazy.
climbing tree stand, so I kind of
Right.
pushed it and bumped it down to where I could get on it. And then I just kind of tucked my tail between my legs and went home, because it's part embarrassing and part like, what the heck just
Scary,
happened?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. So
I've had one experience where I had a climber and it slid a little bit, and that was enough for me to say I don't want to be in a climber anymore.
Yeah.
So I only hunt from ladder stands and ground blinds. But I do think, I'm gonna break out the harness. I got it out yesterday and was looking at it, and I really don't even know. I'm sure there's a million excuses why not to wear a harness, but I don't want my kids to get the phone call like, oh, your mom's in the hospital, and, or fall and break something, or break a leg or neck or die.
we used to do a safety day for one of our companies, and they'd bring in all their gear and just make, they'd all have their piles. And as they're doing their training, we'd have one person going through all the piles. It doesn't matter if it's a extension cord or a harness or whatever. And we made this whole pile of harnesses. And at that time, it was 5 years was the dead point of the standard. Harnesses are only good for 5 years. Lanyards are only good for 5 years. A lot of, that's the way it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So we made this huge pile of the 5-year stuff. And the sales guy there's like, I don't want to see that here on site. Now, can you use that hunting and stuff like that? Well, maybe, but you shouldn't use it here, because,
Right.
That's what the manufacturer says. That's all what they're going to cover you for. I got a call like 2 days later from the company. He goes, well, you don't have to worry about finding an old harness or lanyard anymore, because everybody who hunts went and stole all those harnesses and took them home with them. So we find all new stuff. Don't worry about it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it seems I know so many people, and especially, I'm active on Instagram and stuff for hunting a lot, and I see so many people that are paralyzed or, from falling out of a tree stand. And I've had so many people message me like, I love watching your videos, but if you don't wear a harness, I'm going to see,
Right.
like, okay, I get it.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I get it. I mean, any industry that we get into has its hazards. So, hunting,
Mhm.
it's a hobby. It's not really, you can still get hurt doing it.
Yeah. Or boating. Like I saw a video the other day, the guy had fallen out of his boat and he didn't have the strap thing on his wrist, and the boat was like going around him and hit him. His own boat hit him in the water.
Wow. Yep.
Because it was just stuck in a circle pattern, just
Gotcha.
going around and around, and smacked him.
Wow. Kevin had a boating issue where he used his first aid CPR training to.
Yeah, we had a boy that took a piece of a tree to like his arm and chest area. So a few of us came together and got a tourniquet on it and tried to slow the bleeding down. Yeah, it was a bad time.
Crazy.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, we've
You
all
never know.
probably had those scenarios where we wish we knew what to do, or, it'd be a lot better to just know basic stuff.
Sure. And first aid CPR, I mean, you're more likely to use it home than you are at work anyways. So
Mhm.
definitely one of those things to look at.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what else do we want to do? We're here live again. We're doing our live streaming. We're going to start doing this about once a month. So if you have questions, please feel free to comment, hit us up. Even afterwards, you can comment in this video and we'll see the comments for our next show. So we have some more talking points to go over. I'm sure that Matt would be happy to demonstrate putting on a safety harness or any of that kind of stuff on camera. So if you want to
I'll
learn
pull
how to
one.
do any of that stuff, that'd be kind of fun.
I'll pull one out and make Caroline wear it. Yeah. That's
That'd be
fine.
good. I
Yep,
can bring
we
my
do
new
that.
safety harness for
There you go.
hunting, and you can open it up with me and show me how to use it. That'd
We
be
can
fun.
do that.
Yeah.
We can do that.
I mean, I've never worn one, so I really don't even know. Like, does it go? Do I put on over my camo, under my camo?
Yep. We'll go through all that. That's all great information that we'll go through. That's for sure.
All right, awesome.
Good. And speaking of, just the hunting deal, I talk a lot about, because I've been doing it for 20 some years, safety. We see a lot of time of the year type issues where people's brains kind of check out a little bit.
Mhm.
The biggest one is holiday brain. Second biggest one is what I call hunting brain. Like, we'll see, especially some of these clients, 40, 50% of their field, if not more, goes hunting.
Mhm.
Friday, you're talking to them. They're talking all about what stand they're going to. It's
Mhm.
turkey.
What they got on
it's-
camera.
Yeah. You
Mhm.
should see this stuff. Their brain's not on what they're doing 100%. Their brain's already checking out.
Mhm. Buck brain.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, buck fever, a little buck fever kicking in.
Mhm.
But that's some things that we also tell, especially the safety people and owners and stuff, is start putting more, safety notices out and really get those toolbox talks kicking and stuff
Yeah.
like that, because people's brains start to check out. Like I said, the end of October, early November, for the rest of the year, you see a lot of accidents and a lot of, they probably wouldn't have normally done it that way. But again, their brain's already on, well, I'm going to do this for the holidays, or I've got this to do. And,
So and so's flying in later. I need to go
Yeah.
home and get this done.
yeah, I need to run to the airport and pick up somebody, any of that stuff. And then whoops.
Yeah.
Right? So
I know. I'm thinking about deer hunting while we're sitting here a little bit.
Yeah, but you're 24/7, 365 thinking about hunting. So yeah, that's to be expected.
Sorry.
One other question that I've gotten quite a bit lately is, are we done with COVID? Like, do we have to do anything with COVID? And we're all sitting up here unmasked, etc. Yes, we're seeing a lot of stuff where it's, everybody's relaxing on it, but we're seeing a ton of outbreaks on job sites, 7, 8, 9 people on one site for one client, because they're all having lunch together, that sort of thing.
Sure.
Certain
Sharing, using equipment.
Sure. Yeah. Just not thinking about it anymore. Not really, putting it in their daily plan. There's certain state plans that it's already mandated that they have a plan to deal with it. How do we test? I want to get that out there. We've got a lot of tests. You can get tests free from the pharmacy. You can walk in and get that. Get those, get your employees getting those tests. And, if they feel sick over the weekend, test Sunday before they go out there Monday. It's nothing like coming to the job site and I felt sick turns into 7 people tomorrow feeling sick. We already have a shortage of properly trained people to get the job done and
skilled labor.
People. Yeah.
Just in general, it's hard to come by.
Yeah. So we don't want 7 to 9 of those out for a week or 2 weeks.
Mhm.
So, encourage testing, have a plan. We need to learn from this. Everybody's so done with COVID. They kind of want it to go away. But at the end of the day, if we don't learn from it, whatever comes up next, what is it? Monkeypox, flying zebra disease, whatever comes up, we've got to have a plan for it and put it in place.
Well, I'm glad you said that because Shannon Murphy commented.
Hi. Shannon's my
Matt's
wife. Yeah.
She said, hi, Diane said, great show. Very informative.
Nice.
But Shannon asked about COVID screening, OSHA requirements regarding COVID screening. So
OSHA's requirements, they got backed off a little bit for most private sector. Medical field, they just put out a new standard. They threw that out there for release, but they still use 5A. 5A is what's called the general duty clause. If they don't have a standard written for it, it's if it can hurt you, if it can kill you, something like that, you got to have a plan for it. Obviously it can, so they can 5A it by saying, you at least have to have a plan. You have to train employees on it. They need to know, how long do they stay home? A lot of people think, it's just a cold, because they don't want to stay home. They're tired of being in.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then it's also like this weird thing where you don't really know. Some of it is so unknown, like with the schools especially. So it would be interesting if there was an actual, like, this is how long, you're supposed to quarantine.
CDC has that.
But it changes
It changes
all the time. So
especially
is that where you recommend going to see like the current
definitely
requirements, CDC website?
CDC tries to stay. They're looking at the different strains. They're looking at how things are reacting, et cetera. So they're the ones that are changing stuff as it goes. What's the information telling them? So CDC, check it out on their website. Use that as the standard to live by.
Right.
And exactly what you said, even from the get-go, it
It's
was changing
changed
day to day,
constantly.
week to week. I
every
get clients call me and they're like, "Hey, we just wrote this up." I'm like, "Hey, did you look at the new CDC guidance?" I mean, you really just need to keep putting that in there every week right now. So
yeah. Well, maybe we can start sharing that too. Like as stuff changes on the CDC website, we can make like a monthly update on CDC COVID requirements or something.
sure, and
So-
you can put a Google alert out too. I mean, if you have Gmail and you can
Mhm.
set Google alerts, we have them set to OSHA fines or like the CDC COVID issues and stuff like that. So once every couple of weeks we get an email and it's just all the
changes
most seen
basically.
emails about or most seen website posts about that stuff. So we get a lot from OSHA, we'll get a lot from CDC. So you can set,
Interesting.
we call them Google bombs. You can set that out there and it just keeps bringing you information.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Do you have any other topics you want to talk about
I think
today?
we talked quite a bit. So
I think we've really done a good job for our first podcast.
First
What do you
podcast.
think, Jay, behind the scenes, our producer?
we got
How's
thumbs
everything
up.
looking back there? Good. Look, thumbs up, right?
Yeah, hey,
Two
we'll
of
take
them.
it. We'll take it. We'll take it.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. We're gonna probably do this. I'm guessing about a month from now, we'll do another one once a month-ish.
And
So
probably after we get back from National Safety Council, because then we can talk about stuff we've seen and maybe bring some product back.
I was
to the
gonna
show.
say, bring some new stuff that you can demonstrate and talk about. That would be really cool.
Yeah,
Give us some ideas in the comments of questions, stuff you want to see us discuss.
Yep.
correct. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm Caroline,
Matt Murphy.
Kevin Murphy.
and see you. We'll see you later. Bye.
Thanks.
Stay safe, right?
Stay safe. Yeah.
All right.